the next few days we'll be flagging off our governorship campaign in Abia. So we are preparing, we are in the season. So we'll be having this kind of interactive sessions every now and then. So we are here to interact with him. As, like I said earlier, you'll be free to ask all the questions you may deem necessary.
Thank you. All right, you are all welcome. How do we start?
Okay, you start by telling us, you brief us, sir.
Yes, your aspects also. About Dr. Alex and then...
Okay.
Yes, your... So if you may help you, are you contesting for the governorship election?
No.
So just a little bit of your background.
Some of these devices look like one that it's made by Putin. Then they have to face Ukraine. All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome. My name is Alex Otti, OFR. I'm the governorship candidate for Labour Party 2023. I had been in the race before now. A race that we had, or races that we had done very well, but somehow because of the imperfections in the system, the correct results did not, or rather the outcome did not reflect the will that the people had expressed both in 2015 and 2019. But thank God we are still here, we are still strong, willing, able to do that job that we had come here to do. And that is to, like I said sometimes, fix Abia State. I'm sure that everybody here lives in Abia, even if you are not from Abia. And you are, when you in the inner recesses of your heart, even if you don't want to speak out, because I know that a lot of people don't want to speak out. But when you get back to that your little corner and you begin to think about how Abia State is and how the state has been governed from 1999 till now, I'm not too sure that you will give a pass mark to the leadership of the state all the way from 1999. And I'm very convinced, just like Plato said, that if capable people, smart and intelligent people keep away from politics, they then give away their rights to complain when fools begin to rule them. That is Plato, not me. So I felt it was a duty, even though I had other things I was doing, I felt it was a duty to leave those things and come and join hands with people of like mind to work towards fixing the state, rebuilding the state, taking it away from where it had been, poverty-stricken, infrastructural decay, non-payment of salaries, debt-ridden, deindustrialization, like we have all seen, to a place where we can be proud to say that we are Abians. And that is the compelling reason that made me to offer myself. It has not been a very easy journey, but I'm also convinced that any journey that looks or comes out as easy may not end well. So these are some of the lessons that we are learning. So there's nothing to regret. I believe that this year, given all the changes that have happened, particularly with the amended Electoral Act, where votes have already started counting, if you followed the elections that happened both in Ekiti and Osun. And I believe it is the same process that will be used for the 2023 election. So I believe that the outcome will be a whole lot better, and Abia people would weep no more because their help is on the way, like our slogan says this time. So except if there's any other thing you want to know, and of course you are free to ask, but I think that should go by way of introduction. Thank you.
Your Excellency, my name is Abia once again. Let's go back a little. Can you please share with us some of the challenges you have in 2015, and how do you think probably the innovations by INEC will be able to help your emergence as the governor of Abia State? Because you know, and we have heard, it's still on top. You'll be able to read some stories of Dr. Otti and some of the challenges which people feel that you have at that particular point in time, and how you think you'll be able to overcome some of these challenges.
All right, thank you. Good question. I had made reference to it. In 2015, the mode of election was such that people could write results. That's basically what it was. And the law at that time, as interpreted by Supreme Court, even though I disagreed with them, was that the only way to prove overvoting was with the manual voters register. So what the Supreme Court did when they dismissed our case in 2016, 3rd February, when they reversed the victory we had at the Court of Appeal, was to legitimize election rigging, because their ruling simply said any result that comes out that is not more than the total number of registered voters, not the total number of people that came out to vote that day, that we call accredited voters. The Supreme Court held that any result that is not above the number of registered voters is acceptable. And that was why we lost the case in Supreme Court. Now the law has been changed, and what is now important is accredited voters, and it's spelled out and has been in the Electoral Act as signed by the President. So that is a major change. What happened in 2015 was that in spite of all the fight that we had, we still won the election all the way to the State Collation Center in Umuahia. And our opponents stole basically 2 local government election result sheets and filled the tally, just watched to see when the 14th local government had come in. They just wrote the rest and then tried to push them in to the collation center. But of course, as at the time those election result sheets were taken from the electoral officers, particularly one of the electoral officers who was kidnapped to collect those election result sheets. So we escalated it to INEC in Abuja, and INEC had also said those results were not supposed to be accepted. But out of intimidation, violence, the government in power at that time forced the then returning officer to accept already cancelled results and declare them good. So that's what happened. But that is, by the way, things have since changed. And like I say, you must have witnessed what happened in Ekiti and Osun, particularly Osun, I'm sure that you know that Senator Ademola Adeleke, who contested in 2018, actually by all expectations and all analysis was winning the election before the rigged it. So he's won again, and I believe that his victory will be sustained all the way to the Supreme Court, because I believe they're in court now. I don't know if I've answered your question.
Yes, I want to answer. So to follow up, from what you just told us, we know that there are ways politicians use to circumvent these laws. We have the electoral law now, but then what are you going to do as a person to ensure that what happened in 2015 will not repeat this around?
2015 and now are not the same thing. That's what I'm struggling to explain. That is no longer the way it was done in 2015, and it's important we understand it so that we can also educate other people. I just talked about Oshu. I sat down here and I was following the results on a polling unit by polling unit basis. So if you have a smartphone, all you need to do is to log on to the INEC portal. So after every election in every polling unit, so the polling unit here, when election is completed, votes are counted. When the votes are counted, the results are written. And then the BVAS, which is Biomodal Voter Accreditation System, is a device that INEC uses now for election. And that device transmits results electronically. Okay, how does it do it? The result sheets are scanned, okay, or a picture of the result sheet is taken and then uploaded, and it will go straight to the INEC server. So gone are the days where you go and wait for them in Umuahia with police and army and gun, because whatever goes from the polling unit has gone to the INEC server. You yourself can view it and see results coming from the different polling units. Okay, so I've participated in it to the extent that I followed the election in Oshu, and I know that is the way election would continue.
Okay, new method of people they call vote by. What are you going to do to ensure that?
Okay, so that's a different matter. Vote by. INEC is trying to arrest it. Okay, vote buying basically means somebody will bribe you for you to go and vote for him. So it is for us, the electorate, to decide whether we want to take the bribe and vote for them, or we want to take the bribe and not vote for them. Okay, we have seen situations where I believe that where we are in Abia State today is such that even if you bring the money, and that's what I tell my people anywhere I go to campaign, I say, if they give you money, collect the money, it's your money. Okay, but when you get to the polling booth, you do the right thing. And again, INEC has also, if you followed one of the INEC commissioners, I think it's the first of Sukhoi, they have devised a way where the voters will, before now, they will vote and show. But that voting point is now secluded, and agents will be far away. Okay, so I believe that if INEC does exactly what is said, we should prepare for transparent elections from 2020.
Okay, Excellency, let us
let's have order.
Please coordinate it.
Let's have order. You know the way we will do. No, you will coordinate it. Okay, so people will raise their hands, and then you will
just a follow-up question.
Okay.
Follow-up. Okay. Let me add.
Yes, Your Excellency. Let's. I'm moving away a little bit from the INEC issues. You contested for election in 2015, and now this is going to be 2023. What is the situation in 2015 and now? Are we more further in the precipice, or are we getting better? What exactly? How do you gauge 2015 and now?
Okay, as a state.
The challenges, yes.
As a state.
As a state, yes.
Okay. And the good thing for me is that all of us are resident here. Or is there anybody that doesn't reside here? Okay, so so you will use your tongue to count your teeth. So the question to ask is, are you better off now than you were in 2015? I don't think any reasonable person will say yes. And when you look at the numbers, it is clear that we have performed so abysmally, okay, abysmally poor. Our performance has been very, very poor. Infrastructure, I've talked about it. It's decay all over the place, and anywhere I go, I was in Umuahia South towards Obakala a few days ago. I was shocked at the state of the roads. I went to Ibere. The case is not any different. Ohafia is even worse. Arochukwu is a no-go. Okay, Okwa West, from where our oil comes, has been completely abandoned. I went to Okwa East the other day for a burial a few weeks ago. It was the same story. Abia is an eyesore. Okay, so in terms of infrastructure, we lost it. Education. Our schools are losing their accreditation. At least you know of Abia State University Teaching Hospital, and you know of Abia State Polytechnic. Salaries are not being paid. I understand Abia State Polytechnic teachers are being owed for over 30 months now. Pensioners say they've been owed for close to 50 months. Abia State College of Education Technical in Arochukwu, I think nothing is happening there because their own case is such a bad case. So local government workers, civil servants, everybody is crying. Healthcare delivery system, there's nothing left. I was at the NMA conference, the closing ceremony on Sunday, and it was all tales of woes. So don't need a soothsayer to let you know that things have gotten worse. In terms of ease of doing business, because I see some people talking about doing business. Ease of doing business, we are 32nd out of the 36 states. And for context, Anambra is number 7. Imo is number 11. And then states that you'll be very amazed show up a lot better than us. Sokoto is number 2. Jigawa is number 3 in terms of ease of doing business. And you know what ease of doing business measures? How environmentally friendly have you put your state to attract investments? So if you have not done all the things you need to do, permits, double taxation, just name them, then you have not even started. So we are 32nd as at the last numbers. So our education spend is about 1,000 naira per capita. That is no, healthcare is 1,000 naira per capita. It's actually about 985 naira per capita, and education is 1,400 per capita. So that's how you measure per capita, is divide the population by the total spend. And again, for context, we will take Jigawa again. Jigawa for healthcare spend is about 4,000, and education is about 7,000. These are states that we dismiss with a wave of the hand. Oh, those people, but they are doing a whole lot better than us. 31% of our people today are living below poverty line of less than $1.90 per day. 31%. Okay, 51% of our people are unemployed. The national average is 33.3%. So I don't know what you will stand on and be talking of improvement in the state. So things have gotten worse, and that is why it becomes very, very important that anybody who loves the state, who doesn't want the state to collapse, should think of Labour Party, because it's only Labour Party for now, and I've listened to a lot of other candidates. With due respect to all of them, I really cannot see that they have the vision matched with the passion. The vision to develop the state, the vision to industrialize the state, the vision to create jobs, the vision to move people out of poverty, to embark on aggressive infrastructural renewal. You must think it out first, and then now the passion to execute. But if you don't understand it, you don't understand it. I was talking about yesterday about salaries being owed, and I say you shoot yourself in the foot when you owe people salaries. I've documented it, I've written about it. And I say when you have an economic problem that's probably leading you to depression, what you do is to stimulate your economy. How do you stimulate the economy? You stimulate the economy by putting money in the economy. Even if you have to borrow money. I'm sure some of us must have read about the former American president. No, I can't be shouting. Can't you hear me? Yeah. So please, some of you must have heard about the former American president that enacted the New Deal. And the New Deal simply, he was a wartime president, and what he did was to get the economy out of the woods. He said people should be digging holes and closing them. At the end of the day, he will pay you. What was he trying to do? He was trying to put money in the hands of people. And it's only when you put money in the hands of people that they can buy. Okay? And that buying decision is what leads to production. So that some of these people don't understand economics. You know, economics is about demand and supply, right? You may not have read economics, but you know about demand and supply. It is not supply and demand. Okay, so it's demand that leads to supply. And I give an example with this 7-Up here. So this 7-Up, if you are not paid your salary, you cannot afford it, you can't buy it. And if we want productivity, assuming there is a 7-Up factory that exists in Abia State, of course there are none, but assuming one exists, or maybe upper 10, those who are old enough will know about upper 10. I think it was Noko that set it up in a Kabara site in the 80s. Noko of blessed memory, I think he's late now. So for you to demand it, you must have the money. So even if I don't like your face, by virtue of the fact that I want to stimulate my economy, I'll pay you so that you can go and buy that upper 10 or 7-Up. To the extent that people are buying, somebody will be selling. And somebody cannot sell if it is not produced. So as somebody is buying, somebody is selling, somebody is producing. The man that produces the soft drink hires people. That is the way to reduce this large unemployment. The man also buys other things from vendors. You can see that there's a label by the side. Somebody else made it. There's a bottle or a plastic bottle. Another factory is making it. There is the cap. Another factory is making it. As those factories are working, they are employing people. They are contributing to the internally generated revenue of the state. That is how an economy works. Anytime you cut the chain or cut somebody out of it, the entire economy will collapse. So I don't know if I've answered your question. So if you want to run a state, you must have a complete overview of how that economy works. I was also talking yesterday about the insecurity in the state, and even before that insecurity got to this level, you find that I'm sure many of you are in Umuahia. By 6 p.m. Umuahia goes to sleep. In fact, there's even government house, there's no light there. So every time, sometimes I will stay in my office in Umuahia, went to stay till 7. You look out, everywhere is dead. Why is it so? In Lagos, the economy operates 24 hours. Now, what happens is that if your economy is not running at full speed, your gross domestic product, the one we call GDP, which is the total productivity in the economy, will be low. Today, Abia is about 3.5 trillion in GDP. It can easily become 15 trillion. But you see, when you shut down your economy by 6 p.m., what typically happens is that the money in that economy goes to sleep. So 10 naira in Abia goes to sleep by 6 p.m. 10 naira in Lagos doesn't sleep. Every hour that the money is changing hands, somebody is making money. Every hour. So if yours goes to sleep by 6 p.m. and wakes up again by 6 a.m., it is useless. It's like money you left under your pillow. But to the extent that money is changing hands, somebody is making money. Somebody is earning something. And from his earnings, he can also pay taxes, pay rates and all that. So that is why an economy that goes to, in economics, we call it velocity of money, the number of times 1 naira changes hand in a day. That is the velocity. If it is half, then you earn half. If it is full, you earn full. I don't know if I'm making sense. Have I answered your question?
Yes.
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity. Mr. C, family law.
You don't look like it.
I don't.
You don't look like Mr. C. Yeah? Okay. Or what my impression of Mr. C is.
Thank you very much. Yeah. So obviously, Abia is bedeviled by myriads of challenges that apparently has impeded on the growth of the state. I've heard you do an explication of infrastructure decay, and talks to you about security as well. But what would be your major forum if given the opportunity to come into power in 2023? Which of those challenges would you pursue more vigorously? And then on what pillars this administration will stand on, or going to hinge on? Because we had Buhari talk about anti-corruption. So, but when you come on board, which is going to be your pillar? What pillar is going to be the administration?
Okay. Thank you. Your question is good. I try to run away from those pillars because sometimes they will collapse. So there are a lot of problems. You are very right. But we'll take them one after the other. The economy is so critical. If you don't rebuild the economy, then every other thing collapses. So we are going to ensure that we rebuild this economy. And some of the things we will do immediately will be industrialization. Growing up in Abia, I saw Texan in Abia, and it was one of the largest employers of labor in the state. I'm not sure Texan is still there. Abia Texan, is it still there?
No.
So we just folded our arms and let it collapse. Of course, it's not only in Abia. In this country, there were textile mills in 30 of the 36 states. There were about 180 textile mills, providing, this is prior to 1995, providing 500,000 direct jobs and indirect jobs to cotton farmers, 600,000 cotton farmers. Today, there's just a little less than 30, employing 40,000 people. Unfortunately, our own Abia went with me. Okay. So, and it's very easy to allow companies to die. But that is one thing that will not happen under our administration. We will do everything possible to support well-managed companies. And so the question to ask to yourself is, all these people that have been displaced, where are they? Where would they work? So any wonder why our level of unemployment and underemployment is that high? Because there's nowhere. Factory Road in Abia used to house companies like Nigerian Breweries, Liver Brothers, PZ, and then all the way Batalenas and the rest of them. As you move further to Nicholas Avenue, companies like International Equitable Association, makers of palm olive, they've all voted with their feet. International Glass Industry in Obo Hill, dermatological plants, these were all what our forefathers built to ensure that there was job at that time. But we allowed them to collapse, and we are not replacing them. Okay, so if you take textile mill, for instance, I give example with Bangladesh and Pakistan and probably India. The economies are dependent on what we call CTG, cotton, textile, and garments. Abia is known for garments. The cotton and the fabrics and everything comes either from Bangladesh, Pakistan, or India, and to a little extent China. 81% of foreign exchange earnings for Bangladesh, foreign exchange, 81% comes from textile. 60% of jobs, 60% of jobs come from, accounted for by textile mills and all the, is a chain, weaving, greening, and the rest of them, all the way to the production of the textile. So I'm taking the CTG, cotton, textile, and garments. Okay, India is a large economy, but 2% of their GDP is accounted for by the CTG also. And 45 million people work in the garment industry. 45 out of their 1.something billion people. So in Pakistan, it's the same case. 60% of their export earnings come from CTG. 45% of their labor force are employed by the CTG. So you must look at those things you do to create jobs, because that should be the major thing. Even the insecurity we talk about, a large part of it is fueled by joblessness. There's a saying that an idle mind, an idle hand is devil's workshop. So, and demonstrating it, somebody graduates from the university, comes out, and then looks for a job for 2 years. He's not able to find one. And then he knows that what faces him is hunger and probably death. And then a gang member shows up and says, look, this thing you are doing, it will not work. Come and join us in our gang. We kidnap one big man. It may even be your uncle. You may go home with 1 million naira. So he will calculate it, because human beings are rational. He will say, okay, if I stay the way I am here, I will still die out of hunger, right? 100%. But this one is 50%. So if I join this gang in kidnapping, banditry, unknown gunmen, and all the things we talk about, they are all our children. Okay, if I join this gang, there are chances that I will succeed and I'll make money. But if I don't succeed, maybe they will kill me or jail me, and I will still die. So you just say you all die and I die. Let me try this one. That is how they reason. And it may be our children, and they will not discuss it with you. You will just be embarrassed to see that a graduate is now involved in criminality. Okay, so no matter how much of force you want to apply, it is difficult. But if you're able to take a large chunk of these people out of the streets and out of the unemployment line and give them jobs, first of all, they begin to contribute to your economy because they will pay taxes. Two, they would not be available for criminal activities. It's difficult for somebody who is genuinely engaged to be involved in kidnapping and armed robbery. Even some of the protests you see, it is because people are idle. So job creation is a major pillar. So whatever it takes, even if I have to use the state money to support business so that jobs will be available, I will do that. And don't tell me that government has no business in business. Government does. In America, every year, America spends close to $200 billion to subsidize agriculture. Why are they doing that? They want to ensure food security. So we can also subsidize our agriculture here and have our women be able to produce, like this angara now that you see. When the season goes, that's it. But when the season comes like this, the farmers will be even dashing it out. So why can't we now set up silos, buy them off people, buy corn, buy plantain, buy maize, buy everything off, put them in silos to sell later? Why can't we even organize them into cooperatives and support them with seed money? Why can't we go to Abia and say, okay, you people are very creative. Let's set up like what I would do, 5 billion naira seed capital funds to support those who want to engage in the micro, small and medium scale enterprises. They create jobs for themselves. They don't need to be on the employment line. So these are some of the things that I'll present in my manifesto. I've documented them and I wrote my manifesto myself. It's about a 45 or 46 page document that I have a summary that's going to be 12 pages for people who are not like you, because I know you people read. There are a lot of people who don't have time to read very bulky documents. So I'll be presenting it and I'll appeal to you that when it's available, and it's also going to be available electronically in the electronic media, so you can download it and read it. And most importantly, you can hold me to account, because everything I said are things I know I will do. I don't know if I've answered you, or do you still need some more pillars? Job creation is critical. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much, Your Excellency. Once again, my name is Amara. It is a well-known fact that you're going to inherit myriads of debts and a state that is near coma. Aren't you scared?
No, take that again. I can't hear you well.
Okay. It is a well-known fact that you're going to inherit myriads of debts and a state that is near coma if you are elected as the governor of this state. Aren't you scared? That is not normal. Then secondly, you've talked about industrialization, but it doesn't end there. I want to know extensively how you intend to grow the economy of this state in order to be able to carry this state along and achieve those infrastructural and great developmental strides you talked about. Thank you very much.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Amara. Your question is very, very good. Or your questions. Well, it will be wrong to say that I'm not concerned about the monumental debt that particularly this government has put us into. By 2015, May 2015, when the former administration handed over, the total debt profile of the state was about 34.5 billion naira, and we thought it was such a large amount of money. But today, the numbers are not even, nobody knows for certain what the numbers are. National Bureau of Statistics, no, DMO, the Debt Management Office, came up with 107 billion the other day. But then there are other numbers that have not been captured by DMO. You know, DMO is, you have to go through Fiscal Responsibility Act and then approve it and all that. But there are bank loans that this government has taken. In fact, some sources say it's actually about 190 to 200 billion total loan that we have. And then when you look at the state, you ask yourself, where did all this money go into? So the first thing is that, well, that is my own area now. I'm a banker. So I will know what to do to reschedule some of those loans and restructure them so that they will not be a stumbling block to governance. So that one is my trade secret. You see, the problem is not with taking loans. There's no problem with taking loans. The problem is what you did with the loans. So I will take loans, but I will use the loans judiciously, not only to pay back, but also to create additional income for the state, so that we will be able to do all the things we have enumerated. So that is where I will leave that on loan. Then you are talking of the infrastructural decay and how I intend to fund it, right?
Yes, sir.
Was that your question?
Yes.
Okay. You see, you cannot deceive yourself and pretend that you can solve every problem in one day. But the journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step, particularly one right step. Okay, if you are going and your destination is that way, and your first step is backwards, then of course you probably not get to your destination. Okay, so once you know your destination, you know where you are headed. Getting there will be a matter of preparedness, conviction, and all the resources, the skills, the network. So, and I believe I have all it takes, but we are not going to take everything at a go. Like I said, industrialization is very, very key. And after industrialization, we also will need to face solid minerals. I'm not too sure that a lot of us know how much this state is blessed with solid minerals. When M.I. Opara set up the modern ceramics industry in Umuahia, he was looking at how to use solid minerals that exist in Ohia. I don't know if there's anybody from Ohia here, but if you are from Umuahia South, you should know where Ohia is. Kaolin exists in commercial quantities, and that's where the raw materials for Mosera was coming from before it was allowed to die. So one of the first things that I would do is to set it up again, probably not in Umuahia. I will go closer to Ohia where the raw materials are, and the technology, because it's an area that I'm very interested in. So the technology to set that up has now become much more cheaper with Chinese. You know, every tile, marble, granite today, okay, let me not say every, but 80% of tiles, granite and marble, come from China. And I remember in 2003, yes, or 2002, when I went to Italy and Spain, I wanted to buy granite and marbles and all that. And I saw that they were outsourcing. In fact, most of their factories in Europe were closing, and they were sourcing production to China. Because one, China has better, cheaper technology, cheaper labor, and of course, cheaper products. The quality may be the same, but because the cost of production is very low, if you see Spanish tiles made in Spain, you may not be able to afford them, or it may not make sense to buy them when there are exactly the same quality from China that will sell for half the price. So I have gotten interested in it, and I know that you can set up a modern ceramics, the real modern ceramics of our time, at next to nothing. So we'll do that. As you move towards Ikuano, I'm sure not too many of us know that lignite exists in Ikuano. Studies have shown that it exists in commercial quantity. What lignite? Lignite is a solid mineral that is used to power steam engine for electricity. So given that geometric has covered the 9 local governments from Isialangwa North all the way to Okwa West, I'm sure you know geometric, right? Yes. Geometric power. When in my previous life I supported them to bring the 181 megawatts power station into Osisioma. We set up all the turbines, 4 of them GE turbines. They flew them into Nigeria and they are ready. Professor Barton visited me here about a month ago or 6 weeks ago to announce that they will start operations and give back a 24-hour supply of the Abia Island, and the Abia Island covers Isialangwa North up to the West. 24-hour power supply. So that has been sorted. It's a big project. It costs about $500 million, and I'm happy to say I supported that project, and I'm proud that it has come to this level. Forget about all the problems that they had in the past. That plant was ready in 2014, and maybe God wants it to be commissioned or start working at the time when I will be governor. So lignite will set up not only the mining process, but also the value chain all the way to production of electricity for these other parts. And of course, as you move towards Bende, Bende is also blessed with phosphate. You know, phosphate is what is used for fertilizer. You know NPK, what you call NPK, nitrogen, phosphate or phosphorus, and then potassium. Potassium is the K. Those who are chemistry, who understand chemistry, I'm not an expert. So you can also set up a fertilizer plant just based on that phosphorus or phosphate that will be in Bende. And of course, as you move towards Arochukwu, I'm sure everybody knows about the existence of limestone, which you can set up a cement factory, just like Obajano. I was involved in Obajano, and I saw how life could be transformed just by using what God has given you underground, and then transforming the whole place was transformed. I'm aware that there are disagreements between Dangote and Governor Bello, but I think they are trying to resolve it. But just one big factory that's able to create hundreds of thousands of jobs and contribute to the IGR of the state. So there's a whole lot that will be done to generate revenue. But you see, it has to be properly sequenced. And you must do one thing before you do the other. So if you go in there and you say you want revenue without making the necessary investment, it cannot work. But what is most important is that you must understand what to do and know how to do it. Amara, have I answered you?
Yes, you are correct.
But this also has some other critical questions.
You've asked your question. So let's.
Some of this, His Excellency is telling us right now, it's also going to be contained in this manifesto. So I don't spend all of it.
Sorry, please. When Ferdinand was speaking to us, he said we should ask for our questions, right?
Yeah.
So even if it is in his manifesto, I think we'll still put it.
No, go ahead.
Okay, sir. Well, this is an opportunity I have. I don't know if I have another opportunity here, and I want to ask a couple of questions. You know what I mean in this meeting? Yes. Number one, sir, is that you spoke very well of APC when you joined the party, and before the primaries could, be concluded, you left. Even when you must have spent money, buying the form and luring people into APC, you left APC for another party. I wouldn't know why you decided to leave the APC and what has changed now that you're in the Labour Party. So, like Amara asked you, the state, we have not been able to pay salaries, and we equally learned that the governor has so many aides, and our overhead cost is high. When you come into governance, how are you going to address or cut cost of governance in the state? You are in a new party, and a lot of persons have joined you in the party, sir, and you have spoken about the ills of the PDP, and the people who are supporting you today are equally of the PDP party. How are you going to deal with the interference of such persons, in your governance, that you take decision and it is your decision without having any person interfering in your decisions?
Okay, I think you need to.
Sorry. Lastly, sir.
No, so that I don't forget. Because the questions, if I forget them now, then I'll be asking. I'm already getting old. Yeah, so I guess I'm older than you now.
That has never been in contest.
Okay, but you can still ask your question. But let me answer the first one so that I don't forget. You said I spoke well of APC. Yes, I joined APC, and then eventually I left. And before I left, I actually issued a press release documenting the reason I was leaving. And I will refer you to them. To the press release that I issued them. But in summary, I found that APC was not in the mood to conduct transparent primaries. A document was leaked where they zoned governorship to one person and zoned other positions to other people. They mentioned them by name. So they were not in the mood to conduct transparent primaries. And that was the reason I left. I'm sure if you were in my shoes, you would have still left. Or you will stay there, and because in our place they say that it's only a tree that will remain at the same spot when it has been warned that it's going to be cut off. So that was undemocratic. I protested against it, and I asked for the reform of the money with which I bought forms. I guess that deals with that. Then let me deal with your third question, which is the issue of PDP people supporting me. If PDP people are supporting me, that's good news. But then I can also tell you that a lot of people, many more people who are not PDP people are also supporting me. So I think you should congratulate me for having PDP people to support me over and above their party. That somebody supports you doesn't mean that the person would dictate how you run your government. People have been supporting me since 2015. They're actually supporting me because they know what I will do. And some of the things that I've said here now are things that are cast in stone, and I will do that. Okay, so the more people that support me, the better. We actually want more PDP people to come and support us because they know that they do not have the solution to the problem of the state. If they did, this is 24 years, right? So I guess I've answered that question. Then the second question you asked about cost of governance is an area that I have documented extensively in my columns. I'm sure you may know that I used to write the back page of these days until recently when I took a break. And I have talked about, in fact, there is a 3-part series that I wrote on, I titled it Slicing the Fat from Our Pot Bellies, 1, 2, and 3. Slicing the fat from our pot bellies, and it was about cost of governance. I still strongly believe that some of the things you talked about, when a governor will appoint 1,000 aides, and those are not necessary. In fact, if you read my opinion about those, about cutting cost of governance, I started from the presidency, went through the judiciary, and went through the legislature and ended up with the states. So one of the things to do is that when you go and look at your cost of traveling, in 2020 alone, when there was COVID and most people did not fly or travel, our state government spent so much money on travel. So much. I don't want to give you the number so that you don't get angry. That it's very annoying. So there are a lot of areas where you can cut costs. And I know that you know that our presidential candidate, Peter B, is an expert in cutting costs. And it is for that reason that he left so much money when his predecessor left so much debt. So I think it's a signature of our party right now. Everybody is going in that direction. In any case, if you follow what is happening in the country, you will know that even if you didn't want to cut costs, you'll be left with no option. NNPC, which contributes a large chunk of federally allocated revenue, between January and July this year, contributed nothing. Nada, no naira. Contributed nothing to the federal allocation. It was only in August that they contributed a total of 5% of their revenue. So they used 95% to service subsidy and other costs. So all the money that are being shared in Abuja, where are they coming from? Ways and means. I'm sure you know what ways and means means. That when central bank lends money to government or prints money, and then other debts. As at June this year, we spent 120% of our total revenue servicing debt. That means we use all our revenue to service debt and still had to go and borrow 20% above it. So this cannot continue. As we go into 2023, it will now be the turn of creativity. People, if you are not if you don't even understand these issues, and if you don't realize that time is coming when there will be no money to go and share in Abuja, and you don't know how to create wealth within with which to run your administration, you are in trouble. The state will fail. So it is imperative. That's one of the compelling reasons why Abia State needs to look for people like us. It is no longer business as usual. There you get somebody who doesn't understand anything and say, oh, come and be governor. That era is gone. Where we are now is about people who can create wealth, people who can generate, people who can know that you can sit in this state where your total IGR per annum is 15 billion. That's about 1.2 billion per month, and you have Abia. Meanwhile, Lagos State total revenue per annum is about 550 billion. So 550 billion and 15 billion. So Lagos State is fiscally viable because they can forget Abuja. Anambra State is also fiscally viable. Anambra here, they are brothers. Between Newi and Onitsha, you can make all it. And of course, but here, we are just scratching. I know that it may not be 15 billion, maybe, but that is what is declared. When you appoint brothers, sisters, friends to be revenue collectors, and they are chasing people all over the place, issuing their receipts and all, but this is how much money that came into the coffers of the government. So, it is, we don't have a choice really, except if we want to fail. So we must cut down that cost of governance. We don't have the money to spend. It's like if you don't have money to go and buy beer, you go and buy beer. You buy it on credit today, tomorrow it will sell to you. Okay, so it's simple. I don't know if I've answered your question.
Just 3 questions. 3 more questions before we round off.
Mine is one.
Okay.
Please, you've not gotten to this part, can we?
Okay.
So please, ahead of the elections, you talked about your journey in 2015. But in 2020, we're looking at 18 governorship candidates. Unlike in 2015, there were fewer. Are you not concerned that at the end of the day, opposition parties will end up splitting your votes? Is there a possibility of you working together with other candidates of opposition parties? That's one. Two. You talked about infrastructure and loan. The present administration has accused you over and over again that you worked against them getting certain money that they were supposed to use to develop the state. But here we are, you're telling us that if you have the opportunity, you still get loan. The impression the administration created is you have been against getting loan. So please, would like some clarifications on that.
Okay, so the first question you asked about the multiplicity of opposition, it is not very correct. 2015, there was still a lot of people that contested. Okay, I don't know if they were 18. They may even have been more than 18. So, but the fundamental point is that all those people you count as opposition, I don't see them as opposition. They are still one and the same people. So if you wear a different shirt and you now enter a party. Let's use, for instance, a party that doesn't exist, Wayo People's Party or Yahoo People's Party, and then you now are wearing a different shirt. I believe you should be smart enough to ask the person where he had been since 2015. So if he had been with them, and as 2022 approached, he now wants to wear a new garment, it's for you to say, but you are one and the same people. So I really don't see those as opposition. Okay, they are the same people, and I think that message should sink. Okay, the second question you asked, I'm not too sure that it is that the state government has accused me. I stopped the loans now. I stopped the African Development Bank loan. I documented it. So it's not an accusation they accused me of. No, I said they can't have it. Why? Because they falsify documents. Because before you take that kind of loan, you need to go through your State House of Assembly. They did not. 3, the $200 million loan. My problem, like I said, is not taking the loan, it's what you did with the loan. If you added $200 million to the close to, okay, let's even say it's 140 billion. $200 million now at exchange rate of close to 800. Then you will know what we are talking about. So yes, I said they should not have it because they have not accounted for their federal allocation and all the money that they have collected and all the previous loans that they have collected. So I think you should be clapping for me. So if I take a loan, I will tell you what I'm going to do with the loan and I will return it with profit. That's so it's not that you shouldn't take loans. It is what you did with the loans. Come and take loan and chop it. And come and tell us story. We also have a stake. If I don't participate in paying it, my children and my children's children. So we need to rise up and actually leave this facility where they will come and sell nonsense to us. No, we said no. I wrote and I published it in the papers. So there's no accusation.
Please
go ahead. Eight before beauty.
Yes, I agree with that.
He doesn't have respect for old age.
You see, this time of campaign, I don't know how government has tolerated the opposition parties in this business. I'm not guessing whether you have not complained, but to me it looks as if you have something you have not complained against the state government because they're also competing with you. How free are you using their facilities? How free are you? Because sometimes somebody says that their slogan in your vehicle is against what the government wants. So how free, how tolerant has government been towards you?
Good question. We have actually complained. We have written to the police. We've issued a press release about government being intolerant, tearing our billboards, tearing them down, and attacking people who are campaigning and all that. But you see, we can't keep bemoaning our fate. And I've also told our people that they have to resist it because like our people say, so we can't succumb to intimidation. The state belongs to all of us. Talking about facilities, we really don't have facilities for us to use. Maybe stadium, we avoid their stadium and go somewhere else and all that. We've gone through this before, so it's not new. So government has not been tolerant But we have also been doing our level best. If they don't like the slogan of our campaign, well, it's unfortunate, but it is real, because Abians everywhere I go are crying, they are weeping. So we just simply are admonishing them to stop weeping, because that there's help coming. Okay, so they should actually help me in promoting that campaign, because it's also their responsibility to wipe away the tears of the populace, that they have pushed people to a point where they are weeping. But I know that my Bible says that weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes.
Some of my questions have been asked and aligned with your answer. So I have one.
Elders, just sit down and share our money. And I said no. Okay, so, and I gave, in that article, I started by telling a story of what happened in the state. I didn't call the man's name. He's still around. He told me that at the end of every month that there is this blood tonic they give them as stakeholders, and that he wanted to know if I will continue the practice, because that is very important to them. And my answer was simple: no, I will not continue the practice. And I'm also going to tell you here that I will not continue the practice of stomach infrastructure. And that does not mean that they should go and die out of hunger. No, we will create wealth for them. We will create all this, like I told my friend that approached me with the blood tonic request. I told him, how would you feel if we attract a major company or industry in your place that will employ the youth, produce something that will be sold, and bring peace to the community, and you are appointed the chairman of that company. And as the chairman of the company, you have your board sitting allowance, you have all the perks that go with it. He was very happy. He said, yes. I say, if you call that one blood tonic, then so be it. But that blood tonic, when you are eating it, you will be happy, because it is out of what is you are entitled to, or what is due you. But not to deny people their salaries and then you share money every month. No, that's not going to be allowed in my administration. But we will create enough wealth for everybody to be comfortable. Everybody. The good thing about Abia people is that we are very hardworking people. Abia people don't even require so much from government. Just create the enabling environment for their businesses to thrive, and they would ignore you. Okay, so if you build roads for them, you give them water, you give them electricity, you secure the place, have good schools that their children will go to, have good hospitals. Of course, it's part of our manifesto that we are going to set up a medical village here and have a state-of-the-art medical facilities and attract the best doctors from anywhere, so that medical tourism can reverse from India, Europe and America. I mean, you cannot eliminate it. Statistics, and that's government statistics, it may be more. It says that 1.6 billion naira, $1.6 billion is spent every year on medical tourism by Nigerians. Okay, so, and we are not greedy. When we set up our medical village, we just want 10% of that, $160 million. Is it too much to ask? People, instead of flying to India, Dubai, even some of the places they go to, they receive questionable medical services. People just die in India for nothing. So we have a good one. You fly to Abia, and then you get proper medical care, and you pay in naira. I'm sure a lot of people will prefer that. So one of the things I have in my manifesto, last question must ask. Don't make it the final question. I can take two more.
Those who have not asked. Mine is a very simple and straightforward. Mine is simple and straightforward. It has to do with looking at the decay in Abia.
Looking at
the decay of the land.
Yeah.
It's frustrating and very difficult to really get into if you don't take care. I'm asking that if you become governor in 2023, will 8 years be enough for you to fix these things?
When you become governor?
Yes.
Come and say you.
Yes.
8 years.
Well,
8 years.
the law allows you 8 years. Destruction that has happened over 24 years.
Yes.
But you can't do everything. You must have your scale. What are the critical things that need to be done? I believe that the critical things that need to be done must be completed within the 8 years. Even if they are not completed, at least we should be able to bring them up to a level where our successors will continue. Government is a continuum. Okay, so wherever you get to and your tenure expires, the important thing is that you are moving forward. Okay, so it may be a difficult question to answer now to say would 8 years, but of course you can't stay more than 8 years.
Yes.
So if succession, you see, it's just like in Anambra. Once you get leadership right, it's very difficult to reverse it. So shortly after Mbadinuju, Ngige, even though he didn't win, was under pressure to perform. And by the time Peter B came, he continued from there. So I believe that we have to set up we have to just hit the reset button, because this decay you talked about is true. Start afresh and begin to build things that will last for our people.
Thanks, sir. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I have my last question. Fred, you don't ask?
Yeah,
Yes. We have this present government have talked about so much about Abba. They have talked about Abba and Abba and Abba and Abba. I want to understand, in your government, would you have a special place for Abba? What is the plan?
good question.
Sir, what he asked, I want to put something.
Okay.
In 2015, I don't know if I'm right, I heard something about Ministry of Abba or Enimba, something like that.
Ministry of Abba.
Ministry of Abba from your camp.
No, from my manifesto.
From your manifesto.
Yes.
So I'm right with that. What are you going to do about that? This is just exactly what I wanted to ask.
Okay. You have started answering the question. Because that ministry still exists in my current manifesto. Because I believe Abba is so important. So important that you just need to focus on it. And I will have a commissioner whose role is to rebuild Abba, because Abba is gone. Okay, and I can tell you for free that if you rebuild Abba, you can generate all the revenue you require from Abba. But you must rebuild it first. You must set it up to work, to function properly, before you now start collecting taxes. I have defined taxes as government's share of the prosperity it has created amongst its populace. So you lose your moral right to collect taxes when you have not created prosperity. So we are going to create that prosperity in Abba, and it's not something that is too difficult to do. Just pick Abba, and I can picture here how from that express on Port Harcourt Road into the town, okay, Fox Road from that express also into Mongase, the Abowere Road from that express again into the town, Obo Hill, okay. So And then other outlets. Very simple. When you fly over Aba in a helicopter, you will understand that the Europeans that stayed in Aba did a fantastic job. Every street is on a straight line, passing each other. So they've done the planning. All you need to do is now to expand it, because the Aba metropolis that they created at that time has expanded dramatically. So as you move towards Ngwa Road, there's so much decay. As you go towards Eziukwu, Soso Road, and all that. So you need to also fix all those places. So it is what is very, very paramount in my mind, and I've made sufficient provision for it in our manifesto. Thank you.
That's my last. So this present administration has thought about making Abia the corner of Africa, or what they call it, Dubai of Africa. They have come up with what they call Enyimba Economic City. I want to find out whether you will continue with that project if you become the governor of the state.
What is Enyimba Economic City? I told you people now in 2019 that it was a scam. You didn't agree. So have fun. The people should speak because I don't think it exists. It may exist on paper, but there are people from Okwa here. Pastor Dike, what's happening there? So let us discuss something serious now. You see, there's a way towns grow and new towns are built. Okay, so and it started a long time when Obuaku City was conceived, and I told them at that time, I said, you can't create Obuaku City when that Aba needs to continue growing, and then now meet an Obuaku. Look at Lagos. When we went to Lagos in the late 80s, the places like Lekki, Ebe, all those places were waterlogged. In fact, I remember in 1991, some people took me to buy land in Lekki Phase 1, where I live now. I just mocked them. I said, so you think I left Abia to Lagos to come and buy water? Because the whole place was waterlogged. But the town continued to grow. Lekki now has moved all the way down. So that's how towns grow. Don't just wake up and say you want to build a Enyimba Economic City and start destroying people's lives. You're not fixed Aba. You are building another city. So I think we should be discussing serious things, not
That does it.